Okay. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Testing, testing.
Okay, project louder.
Oh, I gotta talk louder.
Yep, try it again.
Testing.
I mean, that's yelling.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, welcome to the 98% podcast where we hear real stories from real people. And I am with Danielle McDowell. Wait, is it still Danielle McDowell?
So,
I guess I should ask. Blooper reel.
Technically, it's still Clark, but I like to go by McDowell. I'm just too lazy to change it officially back.
Okay.
So I probably should do that.
What a great way to start the podcast.
What's your last name?
What's your last name? Okay. Okay, so Danielle. So what I'd like to start off with is first, how do you know me? And then, obviously, we're related, so you can say that. But then what's maybe your favorite memory of us?
So you're my brother. I'm trying to think of... Okay, so for some reason, all the bad things pop up because I thought they were funny.
Okay, that's fair. You can tell them.
Do you remember the time you broke your arm?
Yeah, you can tell people that.
Yeah, so I made a ramp, and I went over it just fine. But then he tried to go over it, and he didn't go fast enough. I remember during, like, the top of the ramp, he just fell over. Anyway, he broke his arm. But
okay, hold on. Set the context here. Every time you tell that story, you never tell the part that's important here. So
that's the way I remember it.
So we built ramps. I remember I built a really big one that I kept jumping off of. That was fun. Then your ramp, you made a pyramid, and you had form wood. So what is that, like 2.5, 3 feet or something like that? And then you had them both sitting on a little crate. It's like this big. So there was a lot of room on each side that if you go off either side, it's not good. And yeah, for me, I decided to do my rap, and I was like, okay, fine. And I took it too slow, and yes, I did totally flip over the front of the handlebars.
I remember going over it first though, and I was fine.
You were. I mean, I shouldn't have went towards it so hesitant, but yes, I did get a little tiny crack thing in my forearm. Guess they said I didn't actually need a cast. They just said it might be good to get one. Oh. Just so I didn't break it more. But
well, it looked pretty cool. So.
Oh, and then that reminds me of when we went canoeing when I had the cast.
Do you remember that?
You
don't remember going canoeing. I didn't really see the cast then.
Yeah, that was a funny one. So we went canoeing, our whole family, and I think it was Dad, Mom, me, then you, and we're canoeing, and you thought I was splashing you on purpose, so you got really mad. You're like, stop splashing me. And I remember you knocked the paddle out of my hand, and it's floating. They had to get it out with the thing because you got so mad at me. Oh, I don't know why I
don't remember that.
I only remember because of the cast.
I thought we had a really nice canoe trip.
No, you thought I was splashing you on purpose. Oh, God. Knocked it out of my hand.
He probably was.
That was good. That's a good story.
Anyway.
Any other ones you want to share? Or is that it?
I don't know. I feel like I had a lot of good memories. I feel like we had a lot of good talks, so there's good times.
Yeah, there was.
We weren't fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, I told you. Oh, yeah, no, what?
Nintendo.
Super Nintendo?
Was it Super Nintendo?
Oh, what were we
Whatever
playing?
It was. Donkey Kong.
Yeah, Super Nintendo.
Remember I raced something.
Oh, yeah, you used to erase all of our progress.
So I couldn't read. I thought it said easier game instead of a race game.
I remember Dad got really mad about that. We were just, why did she erase that darn game again? Because we'd get like all the way to almost the end, and it would say progress, and it would be all over at the beginning, so we have to start over.
It's because I couldn't read yet.
Yeah, I mean, you were pretty young. For some reason I was talking to someone else about this the other day as I was mentioning how we used to stay the night in the clubhouse.
Oh,
in the treehouse. That was fun.
That.
Yeah, we had the lawn chairs all set up, and we tried to sleep out there, but we never really slept. We usually just talked, and then it would be really late in the morning. Remember, we'd run inside because we'd see people coming. Those were Dad's workers at like 5:30 in the morning, so we'd be up the whole entire night. Oh, someone's out there. run! So we run inside carrying our sleeping bag and all types of random stuff.
That's funny.
You had a good time. It was fun living out there. Okay. So how I always tell everybody when we do this is I have a list of questions that we go through. You can feel free to answer as many as you want, as in-depth as you want. You can elect to pass if you want. But the goal of this is just for the audience and for us to just get to know you and just find a way to connect. So first one, so what was growing up like for you?
I feel like for the most part it was fine. So I feel like we had a lot of good times. I feel like there's some times that weren't so great. But all in all, I don't feel like it was bad.
You want to elaborate on any of them, positive or negative?
I feel like Mom and Dad used to fight a lot.
Did they fight a lot?
Yeah, they did. I think it bothered me more than it bothered you.
Oh.
Let's see. I don't know. For the most part, it was fine.
You try to be careful with your words. I don't want to throw them under the bus.
No, like everything's fine. We have a great relationship. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. Growing up, it had its positives and its negatives, and I mean, I remember like being like 3. I think we were 3 or 4 because we still lived at the old house, like the
Was
first
that
house.
that small house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I remember them fighting then. So like I was pretty young. And then there's quite a few times since then.
Yeah.
So
That's fair. Well, they're still together.
yeah, they probably didn't know I was watching. I was pretty sneaky.
And they seem good. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's fine now. I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
I guess you didn't really understand, like being a kid, really what was going on.
I don't think any of us
So,
did. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. For sure. So what's some other things? So what else? So growing up, so it was good for the most part, you said good. There were some fights, obviously. But is there any like any things you did growing up that maybe that you were into, that you enjoyed?
Did gymnastics growing up. So that was
Yeah.
kind of a nice little hobby. But I feel like we're always outside too. So we rollerbladed and tried to skateboard. It didn't really end up so well all the time.
Well, neither of us really skateboarded.
we
got
tried.
those. We got those Walmart fish boards. I was talking
Oh,
to
yeah.
Anthony about that on one of the other interviews. We had these fish boards that were not really skate worthy. They had wheels. But yeah, we went out. I think we went out like one time. The first time we got them, and we're just like, "Well, this is lame."
I remember like putting I think it was one of Dad's forms. It was like down the steps. And so
Yeah.
I'd go like, I made a ramp.
That's right. I forgot we did do that.
So I feel like we played with them a little bit more.
I guess we did. Yeah, we did more than I thought. Because, yeah, we did do that. And we kept that form there over the steps forever.
Yeah, I was there for a long time.
Yeah. I forgot why it was there. That makes sense. That's why it was there. Cool. You remember the time Mom got us Razor scooters?
Oh yeah, we were like in such a bad mood that day. I feel so bad. I thought of that like probably a year ago. I was like, we were so mean that day. Like she was
Yeah.
just trying to do something nice.
Well, it was also our fault, too. If I recall, you liked sneaking and looking at the presents that we got for Christmas. And I remember you snuck in the closet, and I'm pretty sure you said you saw Razor scooters. But we were trying to not really, I don't know. So I think that's also what led to it, is because we thought we got Razor scooters, and we opened all our gifts. We're like, where's the scooters? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. She had like a little,
She made the map, the little
yeah, like a
scavenger
little
hunt.
map, scavenger hunt,
I know.
and like we were in such a bad mood. She probably put so much thought into that, and
She
we were
did.
complaining the whole time.
I know.
I feel bad for that, actually.
Parent life. Yeah, that stinks. I know, I thought about that too. We were grateful when we found them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that was bad. Sorry, Mom.
Sorry. I'm sure you put a lot of thought into that.
It's funny because I did do scavenger hunts for gifts and stuff after that too. Because actually I thought that was a really cool idea.
I haven't.
You haven't? Yeah, it's a fun thing to do.
I guess I try to like block it out.
Oh, it didn't happen. Okay. Okay, so growing up, so let's fast forward a little bit. So what was the biggest struggle that you've made it through?
So I had some health issues. It was started when I got pregnant with Jordan. So it's been about 10, 11 years ago now. So I have this condition called POTS. It's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And doctors didn't know like anything about it that long ago. It's getting more popular now because of COVID. People are developing it after COVID.
Well, popular sounds like it's a good thing.
Well, yeah,
Should we say
everybody's
something?
got...
It's becoming popular. It's mainstream now. Okay,
Well,
sorry.
now, I don't know. People post about it all the time, like, oh, I got POTS.
Yeah.
Anyways, from COVID. But anyway, I don't know what mine was from. I think it's just, they don't really know where it comes from.
Yeah.
But basically, my heart rate gets really high when I stand up. So when I was pregnant with Jordan, I noticed there was one day I went into Kmart, and Kmart was still a thing, and I kept almost passing out. So I had to like squat down. And ever since then, it was, my pregnancy was hell. It was pretty bad. But like the doctors, they're like, no, like it's just mono, because they thought for some reason I had mono at the time. I don't know if I actually had it then or if I had it just at some point in my life, because I don't know what blood test they did, but I don't know. Yeah, they just kind of brushed it aside. Because like I'd go in there and they're like, oh, well, your heart rate's fine. But like they always took it when I was sitting down. So you're not going to see it then, because it only happens when you stand up. And then it ended up getting better after I had Jordan. I went back to exercising. And then I got pregnant with Kyra and it started up again. And it was pretty bad. After I had Kyra, I developed new symptoms, and they ended up finding that I had something called Chiari malformation. So I was having like headaches every day, and they were like coming in the back of my head. My body parts, like certain body parts, would just fall asleep at random times. I was getting, like my blood pressure was really weird. It's like my blood pressure would get high and it would just kind of like dip and then come back up. Like it felt terrible. But anyway, I got to the point where I couldn't really function anymore, and I couldn't stand for longer than like 2 minutes at a time without almost passing out. So I don't think anyone really realized how bad I felt, but I ended up getting brain surgery for it in 2018, and it's actually been quite a bit better since then. So that's helped a lot of my symptoms. Like I'm still on medication to keep my heart rate down, but I'm able to function somewhat normally. So I'll never be 100%, but I'm grateful that I'm at least able to have a job and take care of my kids now, because during that time I couldn't take care of the kids. I remember there were times where I was like crawling through the house on my hands and knees because I physically couldn't stand up straight. So like I had a 2.5-year-old, Jordan was 2.5, and then a newborn, and I was trying to take care of him being as sick as I was. So it was pretty rough.
Yeah, I remember visiting you sometimes and you just kind of chilling in that chair.
Yeah, I had like a certain chair that
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it stinks. And that kind of sucks too, because I think it's hard for people to relate when they haven't been through something like that. Like to really understand what you're going through. So, because I mean, to be real, like I didn't know what you were going through either, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I feel like most people didn't.
yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I kind of went through it alone, which, I mean, you lived in Kansas City, so
Yeah,
like
we lived, what, 2.5 hours or 3 hours away
so
or
like
something?
I was in Joplin at the time, but I don't feel like I really got the help at home that I should have gotten. I feel like I was kind of neglected a little bit, just told that I was a hypochondriac, and so
That sucks.
that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But I made it through it. So.
Glad you did. Yeah, no. I mean, I'm glad you did too. I'm glad you figured out something. Because, yeah, you're honestly, I mean, you're doing like intense work now too. You know what I mean? Like you're doing like, it's not like I'm able to work now, and you're like sitting at a desk. You're actually doing like real physical work.
Yeah. So
So
I'm
yeah,
a paramedic.
you can tell more about that.
Oh, so yeah, after I actually didn't even know like when I started going to school for it, like I was still like kind of symptomatic at the time. So I'm like, I don't even know if I'll be able to make it through the schooling. Like I didn't know if I'd actually be able to physically do the job, but I did it anyway. So, and it's been fine. I mean, there's been times where like I forget to take my meds. My heart rate's high. Like the other day we had to carry this guy up the stairs, and that's when I remember that I forgot to take my meds. So I'm like, my heart rate's really high. I'm like, I feel
But it's
terrible.
too late when you're carrying someone.
Like,
It's
uh-oh.
serious. Oh no, my heart. I forgot my meds.
I forgot my meds.
Oh
Yeah,
god.
so it's fine now. But, like towards the beginning of my career, like there's quite a few nights where like I always felt okay. Like I never really felt like I was gonna pass out, but like my heart would just like be beating so fast, even on meds.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, I don't know. I guess it took a while to completely recover from. I mean, I'm not completely recovered, but
Again, I didn't know that either.
recover enough to.
Yeah, I didn't know you were still taking meds for it.
Yeah.
So, well, you seem good.
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't have guessed you were still on meds. So,
Yeah, no, I still have to take meds.
yeah, gotcha.
I
Okay.
tried to go off of them like a month ago. I was like, I think I got better. Which, like, being in the medical field, I should know better. But anyway, like POTS, like the symptoms can kind of like come and go throughout life. So I'm like, well, maybe it went away.
Well, so what happened? So did you get like the same symptoms come back, or was your body detoxing from getting off the medication?
Well, that's what I was wondering. So I gave it, I think it went like a week. So, because I know like the first few days, like you can kind of have like I think it's called like a paradoxical effect. Maybe I'm saying that right. Anyway, so like you can go off your meds and your heart. So you're used to like having like, so I'm on a beta blocker.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having like a lot of that adrenaline and stuff blocked already. So like when you don't have those meds anymore, you get like almost like this excess,
Yes,
like
you feel
adrenaline.
good. Yeah.
No, I actually feel terrible.
Oh, okay.
My heart rate was really high.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but
Yeah.
that's what I was told. So like you could have like your heart rate could be higher for a while, like after you go off the meds,
Got it. Oh, okay.
but
Gotcha.
it stayed that way.
But you only tested a week, though, right?
Well, yeah, because it got really bad.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well,
It's like
that's fair.
I can't do this
No,
anymore.
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I just always wondered about that because I mean that's clearly like a pretty serious medication. So you think like with anything, like you'd have crazy withdrawals and maybe detoxing going through it. But
Yeah, I don't know if I said that right. I don't know if it's a paradoxical effect, but it's.
I mean that sounds right. So yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay, so the adrenaline wasn't a good thing.
No.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
No.
When you said I have more adrenaline, like, oh, you had more energy. Like, no, it's the opposite. Oh, okay.
No, my
Sorry.
heart rate was really
Yeah.
high.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. So, let's see. So, what are you currently going through? That's positive or negative that you want to share with everybody?
I feel like there's a lot of negative right now.
Okay. And you don't have to go too in depth if anything's fresh, but you
It's
can
like it's super fresh.
just you can just whatever you want to talk about. This is your floor.
So my kid's father moved to Georgia.
Mhm.
But anyway, my kids are now going to be gone for like 5 weeks for the summer. So like that really sucks.
That'll be the first
So-
time them being far away for like a long period of time too, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone like more than a week without
Yeah.
seeing them. So it's
Yeah.
going to be pretty tough. And then I just like went through a breakup like the night before they left. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Anything currently positive that you're going through?
I think I got a promotion at work.
Wait, you think?
Well, I don't know. They talked to me about it. I'm pretty sure I did.
Oh, okay. So you might be promoted at work. Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That is cool. Okay. Now, what's a skill or talent that you'd like to share with everybody?
So I draw. I
Okay.
like to draw. I feel like I've always been feel like I've always been like naturally good at drawing, but like I have kind of been lazy with it, so I don't like draw much, like maybe 1 or 2 pictures a year. So
Yeah.
I'd like to start drawing more so I can kind of advance my skills, but
Yeah. And we will have put that at the beginning of the video, so if you saw the intro video to this, then you know that you already saw some of her work. Cool. Yeah, it was funny too. Is I remember being a kid, but I also remember you comparing with me a lot too, which was funny. Because I remember I drew when I was younger. I don't really draw anymore, but I drew, and I remember you always saying that I was really good at drawing, and then you way surpassed me. So
nice.
this is the silliest remark ever. Nice. Okay, so
I don't
you
really
don't
know
remember
what to
that?
say.
You don't
No,
remember
I
that?
don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're always kind of competing, I think, but like that was one of those things. Like I always remember you talking about it, and I was like, you just got to draw. You just got to draw. And then yeah, like you started drawing. Your drawings look way better.
I think I said nice because naturally we're supposed to compete because we're brother and sister.
Is that right? Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got drawing.
You got everything else.
Everything. Wait, I did? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
I don't know. Nice. Let's do that response back. Okay, so talent, so drawing, and just to elaborate, so you mentioned drawing, but what type of drawing do you do, just to be specific?
I like to do more like realism. I draw eyeballs for some reason. Like I've always kind of gravitated towards the eyes.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
Never thought about it?
Mm-mm.
Must be some subconscious thing there.
Maybe the eyes are the window to the soul.
There you go. Okay, so eyes, go for realism, and you tend to just do black and white, right? Like just pencil, not color. Are you ever going to do color?
I feel like once I can not be so lazy and like learn more about it. But like I've kind of been lazy with my
just with the artwork. So you haven't been lazy, but lazy with just the art.
With just the artwork, yeah.
Got it.
So I feel like I've been busy and going through a lot of stuff, so I just
for sure
kind of been pushing it to the side.
Yeah, it's easy to do that with like art and stuff because I mean I've done that too. Put music to the side for a long time and some other stuff, so I get that. Okay, so what are you currently learning right now that you would like to teach everyone?
Well, I'm always learning about psychology.
Yeah, figure learn something. What's like one thing that you've learned recently, like psychological, that's kind of cool that people should know?
But like I research a lot on like narcissism.
It's like antisocial behavior.
Kind of.
Okay.
Like the cluster B personality disorders.
Okay.
And I think that's just because of the things that like I went through with relationships.
Yeah.
So I'm just like trying to figure out like what's going on.
Yeah.
Do
you mind elaborating real quick? What's cluster B?
I think those are like the types where it's like narcissism, antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder.
Okay.
Stuff like that is what I believe the cluster B is.
Okay. Yeah, because I've heard people put antisocial as like the overarching thing for all of those disorders, like narcissism, psychopathy, was it Machiavellianism? I don't know, but okay. So you learn about a lot of that stuff. So what's one of the things you learned that was really neat, like an aha moment?
I research a lot about like trauma, and it just seems like a lot of childhood trauma leads to a lot of these disorders.
Yeah, what do you think that?
I think it's the way that we process stuff. So like from the trauma, like we all process stuff differently. So it ends up, sometimes you are insecure, right? From like things that you went through, or you're told that you're not good enough. So it kind of leads obviously to insecurity. I don't know. I think it's just the way that we deal with those issues growing up, and the way that we, like, some people suppress them. And then I feel like that leads to other things. Because, like, I feel like when I talk to a lot of people, they don't think that suppressing stuff is bad because they're like, oh, if I don't think about it, then it doesn't bother me. But then it ends up, I feel like, coming out in like a lot of these unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
So like it's still affecting you regardless of whether you realize it or not. They're just not aware that it is. So there's no self-awareness there.
Exactly. Yeah, I've told people that too. Is like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're going to act it regardless. You just might as well know about it, so then you can at least make a different decision, right? Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's what they always say. The first thing to change is actually knowing that there's a problem.
Yeah, awareness.
So if you're not aware that, you know, you're acting in these unhealthy ways, then there's no changing. You're just going to continue hurting the people around you.
Yeah.
You're just not going to realize it. So a lot of people grow up thinking that maybe that's normal. It's like normal behavior. Maybe their parents acted that way. Maybe, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and trauma is interesting too, because like I was listening to something they were talking about. Trauma is basically, trauma happens when you can't see a way forward, right? Because you wouldn't have trauma if you found a way through or around whatever you were dealing with. But as kids, like, we're so limited with like what we know. It makes sense that like certain stuff would, as kids, keep us from finding a way around. So we find a way to cope with it, or we just maybe just accept that bad behavior potentially too. And then the way we react with our caregivers or whatever, that relationship tends to carry itself to adulthood, is what you're saying. Yeah.
So yeah, it's researching a lot about like the attachment styles.
Yeah.
So you can have like anxious, secure, avoidant. I think there's other kinds of avoidant, maybe like dismissive avoidant,
fearful avoidant, which I think is that, and then there's anxious avoidant. I think fearful avoidant. Yeah. Which is like both. It's interesting. Yeah. So. I've done deep dives in that too. It's funny that you're into that psychology stuff too, because I'm literally researching like psychology stuff all the time. It's so fascinating.
Well, I think a lot of it is just, I don't know, sometimes I wonder if it's like a trauma response too on my end, because I'm just trying to figure out like what's going on. So like relationships that I've been in haven't been like the healthiest. And so I'm trying to figure out like why people are the way that they are, like what happened to me, like why, you know, why don't know, why are these people acting like this, I guess. So, I don't know. Sometimes it's easy to justify too, though. Like when, you know, there's bad behaviors, and you're like, oh, it's because like their childhood was bad, or, you know, like justifying for them. So you kind of like minimize it. But like at the end of the day, it's still like the behaviors are bad, and it's up to them to fix it. And you don't have to be around it. So
for sure. Yeah, and I think there's a difference. I think there's a way you can have compassion and understand where they're coming from, but also not accept that behavior.
So I think my biggest thing is I don't know. It's almost like maybe I try to like help people. Like, oh, like this is a problem. Like we should fix it. Because like I don't want to jump from just relationship to relationship. Like it'd be, you know, you see so many positives too in some of those people. You're like, oh, if you could treat me nicely, we'd be fine.
Yeah, these breadcrumbs you're giving me are pretty good.
I know. I know. Can I just have the bare minimum, please?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And that's the thing just with, I feel like, especially the last like 2 relationships I was in, like, I feel like I was asking for a lot of just the bare minimum. It's like a lot of just like, hey, can you respect me, or can you think of me, like be considerate, or like, can you have like empathy? You know, it's like you shouldn't have to ask for that. Yeah. So
not bad to communicate that stuff, but still to that point, like there's
if you're constantly
if you're constantly having to work with stuff, but you shouldn't have to.
Yeah, I feel like I stayed a lot longer in both relationships than I should have.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's funny to go back to something you were kind of talking about, is like you were talking about why, I think you said why you are into what you're into, like I think the psychology or the behavior stuff. I was thinking about this, and it's really interesting because I think there's a dark side to every success that someone has. So like, for instance, the people that maybe achieve a lot of stuff, you think about it like, why are you achieving a lot of stuff? Like, it's good that you are, but what's at it? And if you think about the deep core thing, it's probably because someone felt like they were never good enough or were of value. So they had to figure out a way to become of value in order to do that. So I think it's funny, like in a psychological lens, is like all these successes that people have that, I mean, people are grateful for because they do a great job, but there's always like a dark foundation, I think, and all that stuff, which is interesting.
It's like I feel like they feel maybe empty inside. Like they don't feel like fulfilled just with who they are. So they have to go out and achieve all these things to, like you said, to feel like they're valued.
Yep.
Because they feel a lot of times empty inside.
Yeah. I relate to that sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah. So that's why I've been pondering that question a lot, because I think it's really interesting to think about, especially like learning. Like I always like learning stuff and having like lots of information. And it's like, well, why would you want to have all that information? So you can help people. Okay, well, why do you want to, like, you can, if you ask yourself why enough, you get to like a core response. And it's really interesting because if I go down deep enough, I think it actually is the root of like, well, I want to have answers, or I don't want to not know, or people will only like me if I can bring value to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. You ever thought that deep?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's a weird place to be in, but I think it's powerful too. I just think it's a fun thing to wrestle with.
I feel like a lot of times when I researched that stuff, it was, like, so in those like toxic relationships, a lot of times they'll blame you for a lot of like their behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So like, oh, well, I did this because you did this, or you're like this. And it's like it gets to a point where you kind of end up feeling like you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of wonder, like, am I the problem? Like, am I causing these men to go out and cheat and lie to me? Am I causing them to like be disrespectful and lack empathy? Like,
Yeah.
So I think it's helped to be able to like research some of that stuff to know, like, it's not you. Like, it's ultimately on them. It's their responsibility to not act that way.
For sure.
So it's helped a little bit. So
yeah, that's good to know. It's good to know that this stuff isn't like, that it's not always you. Sometimes it is other people. But I do also like to look at what is my role within that too, which I think is really important. Because obviously you weren't the reason why people went out and cheated. That makes zero sense.
Well, they've told me that.
Well, no, I know, which is terrible. They shouldn't
even then
do
at
that.
the time, I'm like, what? Like, I know that's not right.
No, exactly. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But at the same time, like, if I was in those shoes, then I'd be, okay, well, what part do I play? Like, what am I doing that's not causing, because you're not causing them to do that, but what is my part in it? So I think that's ultimately pretty important too. So we don't make the same mistakes. Because I think with any relationship, it's always two-sided to a certain extent. Even if it's 90% and 10%, it's still, there's something there.
Yeah, it's never like 100%.
Never.
Of like one person's problem. Like, I feel like we all have issues. Like, to the degree of our issues, they might be different.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, so I'm also trying to do like a deep dive into things, that I could, help within the relationship. But, like, why did I stay in those relationships? So that's like a question, because I feel
That's
like,
a good question.
It's like I've been seeing a therapist and I watch all these things, but like just staying, I feel like it's kind of like enabled them, because they're like, oh, well, I can tell her this and I can treat her this way. I can cheat on her and then she'll stay.
Yeah.
So it's like in a way enabling when.
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to figure that out, is like why I didn't just leave.
Yeah, it's kind of like almost boundary setting to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things. Because basically what we're doing every time that happens, you're basically saying, well, I am okay if you do this. Like you're even though you're not saying it, for them it's like basically they're saying like, I can do this to her and she's fine with it.
Yeah. So if they know that they can get away with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. Relationships are complicated.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I try to set boundaries and then I don't stick to it.
I know, that's the hard part. That's the important part, is sticking to it, right?
And I think it's, like a lot of justifying, because I did that for them. Like I mentioned, I think earlier, it's like, oh, they had a bad childhood, or like maybe they have, you know, BPD, or maybe they have bipolar, or maybe they have this or that, or something going on that's like very apparent. But yeah, at the same time, like even if they did, like you don't, that's not a reason just to stay with someone just because they may have issues. So
For sure. So I like this question. So this next question is there someone out there who has changed your life that doesn't know it?
it's a hard one. So
It
I'm
is a
not
tough
really
one.
sure. Like I'm trying to think of just like one specific person or event or anything
Or
that
anyone that
happened,
comes to
and it's
mind, just something, just maybe someone that you just think like, you know, I've actually never told them, but that person should really, and it could be something even bad that they did that helped you in a positive way. It could be anything.
so this might sound like kind of corny,
Hmm.
but like I feel like you changed my life.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I feel like growing up, like I don't know, I don't feel like I've ever had like really that emotional connection to people. Like even with like mom and dad, like they were busy a lot. But I feel like we got to grow up together, and like I feel like I had that emotional connection with you. Like we're able to talk and like share things. Like I feel like we're pretty close. So, you know, like even in the bad relationships, I think I sent you something like a month or two ago. So I was like, everyone's like treated me pretty badly, like a lot of the guys. But then like, I'm like, you're the only guy that's ever treated me well.
That was the saddest thing you sent. You sent me, what was it? It was an image of someone with $1. It's like if I had $1 for everyone who treated me well, and it was $1, and you sent it to me. And I remember being like, "Are you saying this is me?"
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Well, so like I go back to that too, and I'm like, because it's hard not to generalize. So like you had a bad experience with men, or I did. So like it's hard not to generalize and be like, oh my gosh, like all men are terrible. But I'm like, it's not that way, because like I feel like you're nice to me. So
I appreciate
yeah,
that,
that's
Danny. You never told me that. It means a lot.
yeah.
I
Well, that just made it awkward.
don't know where to go from here. Thank you. I appreciate that. So the next question is a little more lighthearted. So, what are you doing for fun right now?
Did you ask me that?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Oh, you asked me something else.
I said, what are
Okay.
you doing currently that's positive?
Oh, okay.
That's
Those
a
are
little
different.
different.
I don't really know what I'm doing for fun right now. I went on a quest to try to. It's gonna
Okay,
sound
where's this
terrible.
going now? Okay.
I went on a quest to try to start drinking more alcohol.
Oh, that's not where I thought this was going. What? Okay.
I'm not trying to do that anymore.
Hold on. Tell me more about this.
Okay, so
The quest to drink more. I don't feel like there's anybody out.
I
Usually
told
it's the opposite. Like
that's what
I'm on a
that's what
quest to
everyone
stop
said.
drinking. Okay, tell me more. What's going on?
Okay, so yes, one of my coworkers said that they're like normally it's the opposite. So I feel like I've never really drank that much. So like I've never really gotten out and like kind of like let loose. I'm not talking about getting drunk all the time, but I don't know, just like go out and like have fun in a responsible manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it sounds better when you put it that way. You shouldn't lead with a quest to drink more alcohol.
I'm on a quest to be an alcoholic.
Booze cruise.
I'm also an EMS, so that kind of comes hand in hand.
Do you want to elaborate that? Why do they go hand in hand?
Oh, okay. Not everybody's an alcoholic that works in the medical field.
Yeah, just to let everybody know. Okay.
No, so I think it goes back to the trauma.
Yeah.
So like we see a lot of bad things
Yeah.
quite often. So I think they probably use it in a way to like numb some of that pain.
Coping
just like
strategy,
a
right?
coping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very unhealthy way, but
Yeah. See, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I think going out and having a good time and stuff, I think, to your point, you haven't had that experience. And I've been kind of on the same type of path too. I mean, I still haven't drank alcohol, so I'm not doing an alcohol thing. But yeah, I mean, I think there's something to that. I mean, we're in our 30s. We should experience life a little bit.
Well, so I was married at 19. So I was married for 11 years. Like, I didn't get to do any of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, it'd just be nice to, like, kind of go hang out with friends, have a margarita, like, go to the pool, like, try to get out and, like, have fun with friends. Like, I don't feel like I ever really was able to do that because I was married so young. And
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like in that relationship, I won't say, like, I wasn't allowed to have friends, but, like, I didn't feel like it was okay to hang out with friends. I kind of isolated myself. So.
Yeah, I think that happens sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
Getting married young, I think, especially in like I'm not saying this in a mean way, but like in like religious houses, kind of to a certain extent, like because we kind of get that form of where we're like shouldn't hang out with certain people. I don't know. I guess I can see where people isolate themselves. I guess because I felt like we went through something really similar.
Mm-hmm.
Amber and I when we were married at the beginning and stuff. So makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So for fun, drinking a lot.
Go be an alcoholic.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. Let's see. So we've talked quite a bit about, we talked about your childhood. We talked about biggest struggles. We talked about talents and skills. So up to this point, if you were to write a book about your life story, what would the title be called? If you were to sum up your story right now.
I feel like it'd have to be something about like overcoming hardships or struggles, because I feel like I've been through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just even with health and then relationship stuff and stuff like that.
Okay. So what do you think? So I think Dad already dubbed the name Overcoming Obstacles.
Okay, well.
So what do you got? Because this will be the name of our thumbnail for the video. No pressure.
So I feel like so far, like we've all like been through some hard things. I feel like everyone so far you've interviewed, like.
I mean, I think everybody in the world has, and I think that's why it's really nice to see so many people open up and share about things, because we're all going through similar stuff, which is the purpose of the podcast in general.
So I feel like for the most part, like everybody is overcoming obstacles and.
I'll write that down for now, so we can come back to it. Okay. Let's see, and then this is your moment now to share with the audience anything else that you want to share about yourself, but also promote whatever you're doing. So like if you want to give the people your social media or something, or if you're working on any side projects, businesses, if you want to promote EMT work, I don't know what you want to do, but this is like your time to kind of share whatever you want.
So I want to start getting back into drawing. I think it'd be cool to start like selling some of them, but I don't have anything. I don't have like a website yet, so I really have nothing to offer them yet.
Don't sell yourself short.
Nothing to offer. Hey, that's the title of it.
Nothing to offer yet.
Squirrel's got nothing to offer yet, but she will.
But she will. Okay.
Something to offer eventually.
That's so not true. Don't sell yourself short.
Hey, how to not sell yourself short. Okay.
Okay.
No, that sounds stupid.
But when you do, so you're going to be doing that. So eventually you'll put, if you're going to be doing artwork and stuff, where are you going to put that stuff so people can find it and find you in the meantime?
I don't know, just on Facebook or Instagram.
Okay.
I don't know what my names are. I think it's still under Danielle McDowell.
Is it? Okay. Maybe that's why I called you Danielle McDowell.
Probably so.
Or it's just because like that's always been your name my whole life until.
So I got married, and then I've just.
But you've been married a long time, so.
I know.
Okay. Well, I'll write that down, and what I'll do is I'll put in the description. I'll put the links to your Instagram, Facebook. Do you want people to have your TikTok also?
Oh yeah, I put some EMT stuff on my TikTok.
Okay.
EMS stuff.
Okay. Anything else?
Not really. I just feel like I'm still trying to like get my life together. So I don't really have anything yet.
Getting my life together.
How to get your life together. Step 1, start drinking alcohol.
Step 1,
Step
get
2,
wild.
get,
So then you can't go any
wild.
further, any further down.
If you're at the bottom, you can't get any further down.
Okay. Okay, so we have those. So the social media. But yeah, anything else that you want to share before I give you the last question?
I don't think so. So we talked about kind of some paramedic stuff. I draw, relationship stuff, trauma.
Told some fun stories.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what I like to do, how I like to end these is I like to ask you to make a question for the next guest, and then you get to answer the question from the last guest. So the last question for you is, let's see, it is, what's your biggest regret?
It's a hard one.
Yeah. It's like a simple question, but it's a deep one.
It is, because I'm trying to think of, like when you think of regret, you think of like one thing that like changed the whole entire course of your life. But I don't feel like there's been any one thing that has really changed the course of my life. Like, I guess in a way, like I try to find the positives to like everything that I've went through. Like I like to laugh, so like I just make jokes about it.
Yep.
And laugh it off.
Yep.
But like I always find the positive in it. Like, oh, it helped me to become a stronger person. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I really regret anything.
Well, while you think, one thing that's really interesting is I listened to this podcast and they talked about it's not about having no regrets, it's about choosing the regrets you're willing to live with. I thought that was interesting. Because I think it's impossible to avoid regrets because we're always going to have them, but which ones can you not live without, right? Which I think is really important.
I think I've always had this like motto for a while. Like, I don't want to regret anything. So like when I go towards the end of my life and I'm like laying in bed and I'm about to die, I don't want to like look back and be like, I really regret that I did this or didn't do it. So like I feel like I tend to think ahead a lot of like, well, if I did this, how would it affect the future?
Yeah.
So it's hard. Like, I don't know if I really have any actual regrets so far.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sure there's all things that we wish that we could have done differently or wish that we kind of did, but it's not to the point of like, you know, like a big regret.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I wonder if that's a family thing. I don't know, because I feel the same way. I've always said that, like, that's been my answer for that, always. Because, like, to change anything would mean that I would be in a different spot than I am now. So am I not happy with where I'm at? No, I'm happy with where I'm at. But I guess you could say, could things be better? I don't know.
I feel like
things could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we always think that things could be better. You know? But yeah, like you said, things could also be worse. But, you know, I think that was like one reason too why I feel like I give so much in relationships. So I'm like, I don't want to just like walk away and then regret, like, you know, what if they changed? What if this could have worked out if I would have just gave it another month or two? But that's also unhealthy, I've heard.
So you regret giving too much to a relationship?
Actually, yes, I do. I should have walked away a lot sooner.
There we go.
But then in the moment, I think, well, am I going to regret leaving? Like, what if this could have worked? So, but then it ends up keeping me in like these unhealthy relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
tricky.
I guess that could be like one regret, is that I regret wasting my time on people that didn't deserve it.
That's fair. That's fair. Reminds me of this tattoo I saw once. It said "No regrets."
I have no regrets.
So the regret is getting the tattoo that's spelled incorrectly.
No, you should
It's
get
so
one.
good. Okay. So, I don't know why I thought of that. It just made me laugh. So what would you like? What would your question, or would you like your question to be for the next guest?
Like in their life, like what was their defining moment? Did they ever have some sort of defining moment?
I like that. What was your defining moment? Okay. Awesome. Well, anything else you want to share before we shut down the podcast?
I don't think so.
Well, thank you so much, Danny, for being on the podcast. It's nice to
You're
have it's
welcome.
nice to discuss, and I like having these podcasts too because I mean we talk on the day to day, or we not on the day to day, but we talk, but I don't feel like we ever talk about deep stuff like this intentionally all the time, which I think is cool. So it's like we get to see different side
Hmm.
of each other, which is cool. So,
Yeah, that's cool.
cool. So, well, thank you for being on it, and I'm sure we'll do it again.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Maybe I'll be in a better spot in life. Or I'll have another regret.
Still figuring it out. Part 2.
Hey, that could be
Still
it.
figuring out part 3.
That should be it. That should be it.
But
We could make a whole series of Daniel trying to figure out her life.
but the thing is, in your defense, I mean, isn't that what we're all doing now? Isn't everybody trying to figure out their life?
I think so.
I don't think
feel
nobody
like-
has it figured out.
I feel like we all probably feel the same way.
Yeah, we all do. So like that, I mean, that could be the name of everybody's thumbnail for this video, because that's, I think, what
Well,
everybody's trying to do.
that could be the name of this one, part 1.
Still figuring it out.
Well, we'll just put figuring it out.
Figuring it out.
Figuring life out. I don't know.
Figuring
something
it
like
out.
that.
Okay.
And then put part 1, because I'm sure there'll be a part 2. An update. She got into another bad relationship.
So that's going to be our random check-ins. Okay, we're on part 4 now. What do we got? What's the juicy gossip? Well, let me tell you. That's good. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that sounds like a good plan.
I think so too. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Danny.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
This was mighty awkward, but that's okay.
Mighty awkward. Okay.
That sounded stupid.
Okay. Well, on that note, see ya.